What chains are you still carrying? Is it the betrayal of someone you once trusted? A harsh word that cut too deep? Or maybe it's yourself you can't forgive for the mistakes you replay over and over in your mind. Picture this. A man lies awake at night, his body exhausted but his mind restless. He replays a conversation from years ago. His chest tightens, his jaw clenches, his stomach knots. The person who hurt him is nowhere near, yet the wound feels fresh, as if it happened yesterday. Here's the bold truth. Unforgiveness is not punishment for others. It's a prison we build for ourselves. Science shows it changes our brains, weakens our immune system, and poisons our mental health. But when we forgive, something miraculous happens. The brain rewires, the body heals, the soul breathes again. This is not about excusing injustice. Forgiveness is not saying what you did was okay. Forgiveness is saying what you did will no longer control me. Today, we'll journey through the ancient wisdom of forgiveness, the neuroscience behind it, the physical healing it unlocks, and the spiritual liberation it brings. Because forgiveness is not just a moral ideal, it's a science-backed, soul-saving path to freedom. Let's begin. The poison of unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In Christianity, Jesus told Peter to forgive not 7 times, but 70 times 7. A way of saying forgiveness must become a way of life. Why? Because resentment is corrosive. Studies show that rumination, replaying an offense in your mind, keeps the stress response active. Cortisol levels rise, blood pressure spikes, and the nervous system stays on high alert. This state was useful for survival in moments of danger. But when it becomes chronic, it destroys us from within. Real-life stories confirm this. People who hold grudges often experience insomnia, anxiety, and even digestive issues. Their energy is drained not by the person who hurt them, but by the bitterness they cling to. Meanwhile, the offender might have moved on. Ancient wisdom and modern science both reveal this. When you refuse to forgive, you bind yourself to the pain of the past. You give your power away. Forgiveness, then, is not weakness. It is the courage to reclaim your life. The neuroscience of forgiveness. What happens in the brain when we forgive? Neuroscientists have studied this. In one experiment, people were asked to recall painful memories while lying in an MRI scanner. When they chose thoughts of revenge, the brain lit up in regions tied to aggression and stress. But when they consciously chose forgiveness, something remarkable happened. The prefrontal cortex, the rational, compassionate part of the brain, became active. The amygdala, which processes fear and anger, calmed down. The brain literally shifted from survival mode to growth mode. Forgiveness was not just an idea, it was a neurological event. Other studies found that people who practiced forgiveness training had lower cortisol levels, better sleep, and stronger resilience to depression. Forgiveness activated the brain's reward pathways, releasing dopamine and oxytocin, the same chemicals tied to love, connection, and trust. Think about that. The very act of forgiveness rewires your brain, breaking the cycle of resentment and restoring balance. It is as if the brain was designed not for revenge, but for release. Forgiveness in the body. The science doesn't stop at the brain. Forgiveness affects the entire body. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that forgiveness lowers blood pressure, reduces chronic pain, and strengthens the immune system. People who forgive experience fewer symptoms of heart disease and recover faster from illness. Why? Because unforgiveness traps the body in a state of stress. When you replay a grudge, your body acts as if the danger is happening now. Adrenaline floods your system, muscles tighten, and the heart races. Over time, this leads to inflammation, the silent killer behind countless diseases. But when forgiveness enters, the body releases. The parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and heal mode, switches on. Healing hormones flow, blood vessels relax, the immune system strengthens. One case study documented cancer patients who included forgiveness practices in therapy. Many reported not just emotional peace, but measurable improvements in their physical health. Forgiveness didn't just touch the mind, it reached deep into the body. Spiritual dimensions of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only biological, it is deeply spiritual. In Christianity, forgiveness is at the heart of the gospel. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. In Buddhism, forgiveness is a way to release attachment to suffering. In Islam, one of the names of God is Al-Ghafur, the all-forgiving. Across faiths, forgiveness is seen as a divine act, a mirror of heaven on earth. The Stoics echoed this. Epictetus said, "When someone does you wrong, immediately consider what view led him to do it. When you see this, you will pity him and cease to be astonished or angry." Forgiveness was not about ignoring wrong, but about transcending it through understanding. Spiritual traditions remind us, forgiveness is not just letting go of an offense. It is an act of liberation. It untangles the soul from resentment, creating space for love, peace, and even reconciliation. The psychology of letting go. Why is forgiveness so hard? Because the ego resists it. The ego feeds on the story. I was wronged. I am the victim. I must hold on to this pain or I'll lose myself. In truth, clinging to resentment does not preserve your identity. It corrodes it. Psychologists explain that forgiveness involves reframing the story. Instead of focusing on the harm, you widen the lens. Why might this person have acted this way? What wounds in them led to this behavior? This doesn't excuse the action, but it shifts your perspective from vengeance to compassion. Studies show that people who cultivate empathy for their offenders find it easier to forgive and experience profound relief. The brain even shows reduced activity in anger-related regions. Forgiveness, then, is an inner act, a rewiring of perception. And here's the paradox. Forgiving doesn't mean you must reconcile or trust again. You can forgive and still set boundaries. Forgiveness is about your freedom, not theirs. Practical pathways to forgiveness. So how do we forgive in real life? Step 1, acknowledge the hurt. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. Name the wound honestly. Step 2, choose release. Forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a decision. The feelings may take time to follow, but the choice comes first. Step 3, reframe. Try to see the offender not as a monster, but as a human being shaped by their own wounds. Compassion does not erase accountability, but it makes forgiveness possible. Step 4, let go through practice. This could be prayer, journaling, meditation, or even writing a letter you never send. Spiritual and psychological tools both help in this release. Step 5, set boundaries if needed. Forgiveness does not mean allowing further harm, it means healing without hatred. Real-life examples show the power of this. Families broken by betrayal have found reconciliation through forgiveness. Survivors of great injustice have discovered peace not by clinging to anger, but by letting go. Forgiveness is freedom. At the end of the journey, forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. Unforgiveness chains you to the past. It keeps you reliving wounds that no longer exist in reality. But forgiveness cuts the chain. It restores your peace, your health, your spirit. Science proves it heals the brain and body. Spirituality reveals it heals the soul. And life itself testifies, forgiveness turns pain into wisdom, wounds into compassion, and endings into beginnings. Here is the bold truth. When you forgive, you don't change the past, you change the future. So if you are tired of carrying the weight, if you are ready to heal, the invitation is this. Forgive. For your mind, for your body, for your soul. Because forgiveness is not just a moral virtue, it is the most radical act of freedom a human being can choose.